Welcome back, people. Um, oh man, here we are. Cheers, skis. Today I am sipping on a Stone Delicious IPA. It's so delicious. Oh man, I missed the mic, and I just wanted to get back on here and talk, talk, and spill a little bit of my thoughts. You know. I hope the sound's all right. Sounding a little weird in my headphones. All right, there we go. Check, check, 1, 2. All right. Had to fire the sound guy. You know, cutting out here, man. We're cutting costs. We're cutting, the little sound guy, the little guy that was controlling the knobs. Had to fire him. You know, I think he's uh, I think he's off applying now at the local Arby's. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check up on him and see if he's gonna need a reference. I don't know. Hey, you motherfuckers. Welcome to the Bluecast, the podcast that just doesn't have a definition, doesn't have a a box. There's no box here. It's just random thoughts, and it all pertains to music. It all pertains to current events and interests. You know, the good stuff. Good beer, good times, good vibes. That's it. And yeah, here we are. April, going into May. Summer's right around the corner. And I don't know about you, but once the summertime comes, ooh wee. I'm in Florida right now. So, Florida is going to be one of those states. It's going to be one of the first states to lift the ban. And once it's lifted here in Florida, then we become basically like we always have been. We become like the experiment for the rest of the country. They're basically going to see how we're doing, and if everything's cool with us, then all the other states can proceed. Why do you think Florida was a state that allowed Disney to happen? You know. Sorry, guys. Let me fix this shit. Why do you think that Disney World was opened in Florida? Because, Disneyland opened up in California, the original, and everything was cool, but then they were like, "Hey, we gotta spread this out. We gotta open up another park in the country, but we don't know if it's gonna do so good. We gotta try it out somewhere. What's a place where there's a lot of room, there's a lot of space, and we can kind of see if this is gonna work out. Florida, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's all these other businesses and all these other um, ventures that were or experiments that were tested out here in Florida as well. You know, um, I could see us as that petri dish of experimentation, and I don't mind. Bring it on. We'll open up this fucking country next week. Come on, man. Let's get this thing going. You know how fucking strong Floridians' immune systems are? Guys, you know. You already know. Okay? If you're a part of the music scene here in South Florida and you've ever been to the local venues like Churchill's or Las Rosas, you ever had to use those bathrooms, or you know, if you go to a lot of shows, if you're like a weekly concert goer, you're fine. I don't have to check up on you. I know you're okay. It's just because, it's just, you already know, man. Um, yeah, let's get right into it. Let's pull some random records. Okay, I'm just gonna go into the bin and pull some records. Give me a minute. Cool. All right. And trust me, I did a blind grab. I didn't fuck around on the pull, okay? That's how I always pull my records. It always has to be like a blind grab. You can't see what kind of records you're grabbing. So, here I have one of my prized possessions. I fucking love this record so much. Robert Johnson, the king of the Delta blues singers, plural. And what can I say about Robert fucking Johnson that hasn't already been said? Originator of the blues, one of the first to do it, and to do it right. And he's that guy, man. He's that guy, Robert Johnson, man. He's he had a style that a lot of people emulated, but he also got it from somebody too. Everybody always has a a mentor or somebody that they look up to that they want to kind of learn from, and they see somebody do it and they're like, oh, maybe I can do that. Robert Johnson had somebody, and that guy's name was Sunhouse. So, he would study Sunhouse, or in a way, he would go see him perform, and then, you know, after a while, he saw that it was possible. It was very possible to play this kind of music and to do it in a way that only Sunhouse can do it. But Robert Johnson, he just took it to another level. How many of y'all seen that, huh? Using a capo. Using a motherfucking capo to hold up this ghetto ass fucking mic stand, which is actually coming in handy. Um, so I can't hate. It's the only mic stand I got right now. But the capo's doing the trick. There it is. It's in place now. So yeah, Robert Johnson, Sunhouse, and also there's a myth. There's a rumor about Robert Johnson. The legend goes that he sold his soul to the devil. Whatever. I think it was just pure skill. He was a really talented cat, and he learned how to play the fuck out of his guitar. But of course, he couldn't have done it without his mentor, Sunhouse. And Sunhouse and Robert Johnson are two amazing blues singers, blues players, which I feel that everybody needs to know and become accustomed with, because I feel that that is the truth. Keith Richards once said that if metal is metal and metal is hard, well, then blues is armor, and nothing can penetrate armor. And a couple of things can penetrate metal, because metal, you know, I feel like it's so cookie cutter now. It's become this cookie cutter thing, but the blues was so original when it first started. So that's why nothing can compare to Robert Johnson and his amazing mono recordings. Um, I feel like every amazing rock band and metal act that you can imagine use this guy as a blueprint. I'm not even joking about that. That's the damn truth. Because blues is the truth. It's the fucking gospel. Dig? Next record, modern record, or not so modern, came out the year I was born, 1989. We have Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique. One of my favorite records of all time. There it is. Beautiful Brooklyn. Dig it. Oh man, this fucking record, man. This is the Sgt. Peppers of our generation. There, I said it, and I probably wasn't the first to say it. Paul's Boutique has a sound which I have not been able to hear in any other record so far in my life. It is a collage, an piece of art produced by the Dust Brothers and, led by the Beastie Boys, which can only spit the way that the Beastie Boys can spit because, of course, at the end of the day, you got the innovators and you got the imitators, and the Beasties were innovators, 100%. And Paul's Boutique proves that. It was their sophomore album, and they signed the Capitol, and they had to deliver. And a lot was riding on this record. A lot was riding on this record, and they didn't want to disappoint. But at the end of the day, you can't please everybody, and it wasn't a hit like their last album or their first album, which was also their last album before this. But not their last album, as in it wasn't the last album they're going to put out, because then they came and followed it up with Check Your Head, which I guess a lot of y'all could say that Check Your Head is just as good as Paul's Boutique or even better. I don't know. For me, man, that's a tough call, but yeah, I'll put them equal. They're equal, but I only own this right now because you got to have it in your collection. You got to have Paul's Boutique in your collection. It's how much money they spent on samples just for this record? Millions of sample clearings. So yeah, like if you're gonna go all out and if you're gonna put everything on the line and spend that much money just to be able to use other people's sounds to slice it all together and make art out of it, then you got to respect that. Even if this album sucked, which it does not, but I would probably, my guess would be that it would still be a cult favorite just because of the samples and because of the sounds that are created from it. It's amazing. It is truly amazing. I don't think anybody's going to be able to ever do this again because of now the copyright laws that exist and how difficult it is to clear a sample. Of course, you got your boy Kanye, which is a master at that shit too. That's another record that I would love to talk about sometime, which is Kanye's debut, which is The College Dropout, which has amazing samples, but of course, only a handful of people that I can think of, like Kanye, Dilla, the Beasties, which, Dust Brothers, I guess, were the ones that really utilize samples the way that I like to hear samples, which is funky and with a cool tempo, like a cool hip hop tempo in it. And you could take a 70s sample, like a guitar riff or a funk riff, and you could splice it together with a modern hip hop beat. If you do it right, then you got somebody like Dilla or Kanye or the Beasties. Man, but Paul's Boutique, go check it out. Go get it. You got to spend money on this record for sure. Don't just fucking... It's a shame listening to this album like any other form but vinyl because it was released on Capitol. I mean, come on. You're talking about $1 million fucking studios. So I'm kind of like torn. And, when it comes to like having records, it's like I like owning the fucking records that have really shitty sound, like the really shitty recordings of punk rock records and mono blues albums and old records from like the 50s and before that. But I also appreciate the high fidelity, high quality of records from major labels, from Geffen and Capitol, the classics, and when you listen to it in a vinyl format, nothing comes close. Ever, ever, ever. Nothing will ever come close unless you were there in the studio. Unless you were a fly on the wall and you were just checking it out, checking out the scene. Yeah. But yeah, man. We all have dreams, don't we? We all have these dreams. We have dreams in the daytime, we have dreams at the night in the nighttime. And what how can you make a dream a reality? With the exception of nightmares, which I feel like some people are going through nightmares right now, and we all have to go through a nightmare from time to time in our lives, but you know, um, that's the yin and the yang of life. You can't have one without the other. And if you're only experiencing one side, then you're not really getting the whole gist of life. You're not getting the full experience. Or you're shielding yourself from the true experience of life. But what is it to actually manifest your dream? You have a dream, you want to manifest it, you want it to become a reality. Well, what do? You try to gather a group or a team of people that share that vision. Now, I think there's an African proverb that says that one can do it alone, but, you know, you can get to your destination alone, but you'll get to it a lot faster with people. I could have butchered that. I'm not really sure. I'm a fucking idiot, but I think Tom Petty, I'm going to use Tom Petty's quote because it was very similar to this African proverb that I heard, but Tom Petty once said that anybody can do it alone, but you'll have a lot more fun doing it with people. And I agree on that. But I feel that in the day and age that we live in, and also in the words of Jim Morrison, which said this in 1970, right before he passed away, when they asked him what he thinks the future of music is going to be. And he was there surrounded by his bandmates. He was like, well, I believe that it's going to be one person on stage with loops, tape loops, reciting some kind of music or poetry or whatever over tape loops. He was on point, and only a blind person and a person that shuts himself off from the rest of the world would not see how what the current trend in music is. But also, these people with the loops, they created something. Now we have the ability to create things in our bedroom. We have the ability to bring the studio to our homes, which is fortunate. If you put the time in to learn something on your own, then it's very much possible to make it happen on your own. But will it be as fun? I don't think so, but will you be able to get to your destination? I think so. So if any of y'all are thinking about, starting a project or making music happen and you don't have people there at the moment to help you realize that vision, do not hesitate and just put it out there, because the mind is like a faucet. And if we back it up, it's gonna, we got to let all that stuff out. We have to let it out, you know, and especially if you're a creative person. And if your dream is to one day, like I feel like everybody that's ever been in music, their dream is to one day make it, you know, well, that's a nice dream to have, and everybody should always have that in their mind. But I think that you've already made it when you make it, which means make something out of nothing. And that's what an artist is. When you're an art, you become officially an artist, not by going to art college, you know, not by having a degree in your hand. You officially become an artist the day that you make something out of nothing. And that could have happened when you were a kid drawing, you know, you drew your first drawing and then you continue to draw. Well, congratulations, you are an artist. You have an artistic mind. But to make it doesn't mean that you have to have a bank behind you dishing out money for you to be able to create. Sometimes that ruins people. And I feel like it has ruined people more than it's helped people. I don't know if y'all seen the recent um, video of Post Malone, which is a current very popular artist, which he kind of, his music, the music that he creates is more along the lines of like a hip hop sound. But this guy just posted up a video of him covering a six set of Nirvana covers, and I, I never knew. A lot of people didn't know that this guy had guitar chops, and he was able to bust, you know, rock out like that. And Travis Barker on drums, what? One of my fucking drumming heroes, you know? Come on. And when you see him having that much fun behind a guitar and really killing it on the vocals, you know, and then you compare that to like what he does for a living, it's like, wow, it's two different worlds, but I get it. I get it. You know, sometimes you have to, you can't ignore the present. You know, we're all children of the past and forever will be, and we must learn, and we're like sponges, you know, and especially if you're an artist, you already know, you feel me, you know, if you're listening to this, you have to be an artist, or you have to be some kind of creative, because if not, you wouldn't have gotten this far. But if you are, then you're some kind of sponge that's just like soaking up all this information, and what you do with it is your choice. And you know, there's many different ways to express yourself, but if you really want to hit a home run and make it, then you can't have your head too far in the past. You have to be in the future, at least by 10 years, always. And if that's something that you can't put up with, or something that annoys you, then you have to reevaluate what it is that you want to do, because everything's rapidly changing right now. We're going from a world where rock music was king to where now, like Jim Morrison said, It's more profitable, and also you become you're able to express yourself easier just being that guy with the tape loops, which is now something that could easily be, you know, recreated in your bedroom. You can make a beat in your bedroom, or you can, then you could have it on your phone or whatever. But I don't know. I'm caught right in the middle, man. I uh I love all music so much, but I also respect an artist, a modern artist like nowadays when they come at it from a different angle, because I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it like Daft Punk, coming from a punk rock background, and them just adding the punk in their name, just like a little homage, like we didn't forget. We'll always remember our roots, but it's time to go. The spaceship is calling. And in a way, I feel like the spaceship is calling a lot of us. And 2020, I feel like I know so many creative people, but I also would love to see where they would go if they just open their minds up to the future a little bit more. And whether that be a little bit more experimental, be a little bit more accepting to the futuristic and modern sounds that everybody is using now. But I don't know. What do you think? You know, I feel like you can never have. I saw Post Malone in that video, and it seemed like he didn't have he hasn't have that had that much fun in years, just rocking out on the guitar, playing Nirvana songs, and man, it feels so good to see that, because I get it. I know, because I spent hours playing drums to Nirvana and to all my favorite bands, but then when you see what the music business and music industry is like now, it's it's moved on, and I feel like the world is always waiting for that next Nirvana, but the world is so different now that it's hard to get. It's gonna be hard to replicate. It's gonna be hard to make that happen, because some things could only happen once. Kind of like how the Beatles could only happen once in a lifetime, then Zeppelin and the Sex Pistols, Nirvana, and now it's so much information. We're flooded. We're flooded with information. We're flooded with with music and styles, and constant new music coming out, where it's now become like, yeah, I've heard it. Like you could have the coolest fucking solo, you could have the best fucking gear, the best rig, but it's all about the song now. People don't want to hear what you're saying. People don't really want to fucking. People want the song. People want get a moment, a memory, a feeling, and I feel it. I could be, out and out and about or whatever, and in the world, and a song will hit your ears that you won't normally listen to in your closed quarters, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna remember this of how because of the beat, number one, and also because of the place that I'm in, or the people that I'm with. So that's a key. I feel like it is that's a key nowadays, and I get it. I get it. And then of course, us being those sponges, we soak that up, and then we go back to our place and put on those records that we love so much, and keep soaking that up as well. It's kind of like it's like a health bar. It's like when we're able to soak up the stuff that we really love, it kind of just fulfills us, you know, in our hearts, and then we're able to really feel good. Feel good incorporated. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, what's some modern music that what's like the new shit that I'm getting into right now? Oh, I discovered a rapper recently, and I know I'm kind of late to the game on this guy, but his name is Juice World, and this cat's fucking great. This guy, you know what got me? Because I've heard his shit and I've kind of just heard it in passing. Kind of like that, like how I mentioned, like, like in the moment, heard it, forgot about it, but I remember the moment. But I recently saw his freestyles, and that's what really gets me now with these fucking rappers is how they can freestyle, because that's something that I can never ever do, man. Like freestyling is such an art, and you have cats that could really do it perfectly. And a lot of those I'll mention a couple that are my favorites right now. Like if you go on YouTube and you check out freestyles of, for example, Black Thought from The Roots or Lil Dicky, when he does those interviews, those radio interviews. And then you got Juice World. Juice World straight up rapped for like an hour off the dome, man, to Eminem beats, and it left me floored. Oh fuck, man! Like Eminem for me, man. I'm an '89 baby, so I was there. I was there getting the albums, the CDs when I was like a young cat and being blown away and having to be like my main influence at a young age when I was just getting into music, and seeing Juice World rap in his unique way with his modern twist over Eminem beats was so fucking unique, man. It was so mind blowing, and it just made me feel so bad that he's gone. Because the kid OD'd, and he's another one that left too early because he did some stupid shit. But damn, man, for me, underrated talent, because totally went like this when he was alive, like whoosh, didn't even didn't even know the kid existed. Didn't even look into his music, and it makes you wonder, how come we don't appreciate people when they're alive? And there's a lot of artists that are like that. One that comes to mind the most, that I feel that was the most underrated when he was alive, was Bradley Nowell from Sublime. He had that amazing debut, or those amazing first albums, and then a couple of albums, and then he had a cult following. He would be able to play shows to people, but he didn't really take off until he passed away. And then they released that last album with all the hits and shit, Century and all that. But yeah, man, it's a damn shame that these people don't get to experience everything they work so hard for, their dream, you know, while they're alive. And it makes you really wonder what life is all about, because they were living in the moment, and maybe some of them were living too fast, because it's good. It's good to pump the brakes every now and then. Every now and then, it's good to pump those brakes a little bit and slow down, because if you're caught up in the life, well, it can get on top of you. And when it gets on top of you, it's really hard to get it off of you. But if you're able to keep a good vision of it from a distance, I feel like your hmm, your chances of living a longer life are a lot higher. There's a lot of people that I wish are still with us today. And a lot of my heroes are above me. They're above me and you know, I feel like they're above you too. They're above everybody that is putting out that energy. I feel like we tap into energies from the past if we just do it right. But we also have to learn to not recreate those same patterns of behavior and those mistakes because that's not the way to be, man. But homies, them cats made some amazing art, and that was their purpose, man. They fulfilled their purpose. They came here to this world, to this little blue pale dot, and they did what they needed to do. They blessed us with their art, and they were on their way. And I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah. And it's amazing how they go when they're so young, and they're more influential when they're younger. It's amazing. It's pretty extraordinary. Yeah. Funky Farms, CBD, chocolate mint, baby. um, hmm. So yeah, the first thing, the first fucking thing that I'm gonna do when this whole ban is lifted is I'm gonna go to the beach and I'm gonna jump in that water and I'm gonna enjoy the fuck out of that water. I'm gonna take some beers and a cooler. It's amazing how we don't appreciate things. If there's anything we're gonna appreciate a lot of when this whole lockdown is lifted is the things that we took for granted on a daily basis, such as if you're by the water, if you're by a beach, just going to the fucking beach. Being able to go out there with a fucking cooler and being able to just like enjoy being at the fucking beach, kind of like just hanging out at the park. What the fuck? How weird is that? That, now that it's taken away, we want it so badly. I feel like that's everything in life. That's everything in fucking life. It's like, you know, um, you never want it when it's there. And then when it's taken away, then you realize, oh, I want that. And that's with so many things in life. Like, think about it, I'm right. um, but it just makes you realize how, like, we can, like, just forget or not necessarily forget, but become jaded. That's the word, jaded. And I don't think it's good to become jaded. Um, I think it's. I think you gotta always um keep your mind at the point of like you're doing it for the first time all the time. And I feel like that's how it's going to be when I go back to the beach. It's going to be like the first time I ever been to the beach. Have you seen how people act that didn't have a beach growing up, how they act around the beach? It's fucking amazing. It blows my mind, like people that like grew up, you know, in the snow or surrounded by mountains. Now that they're living in Florida or whatever, it's like you can't get them off of the beach and they just become like captivated. That's how we have to think. That's how we have to think of things. We have to approach things that way. I feel like that's how artists have to approach music. if we want to make something really awesome and creative happen, we can't just become jaded. Like, we can't become like we've done this a million times. You have to open the mind up, and you have to recondition it, because it takes it it takes work to be able to train the mind so that it doesn't become this cynical, complacent thing. And it's so easy to get to that place, but I feel that it's a lot easier to keep that joyful and, you know, in a way, innocent, open mind of things without having to, you know, sacrifice um, your pride, or you know, not having to think of all these things too much, because overthinking, I feel like, can be poisonous. And I wrote this down the other day because I feel like it was very important from, you know, relating to where I'm at right now. But I'm going to share it. And I'm going to start saying this like a mantra, because it's a very important mantra in my life, I would say. Don't think, don't stress, and go. So, don't overthink things. When you're a performer, or you're a musician or a comedian or whatever, overthinking could be your worst enemy. When you're in a studio trying to record something, overthinking could become your worst enemy, because you're overthinking, and that lightning in a bottle is slowly becoming less powerful as time goes on. That's why some of the best recordings and most powerful recordings of all time were recorded live. Because the more you overthink, the more you fuck around with it, the more it loses its magic, unfortunately. And $1 million studio ain't going to capture that magic in a bottle. It just won't. Don't stress, because stress is the number one killer. I feel like stress kills more people than the fucking coronavirus. Stress can kill more people than cigarettes, than any disease. And I feel like it's the number one epidemic, and it has been for many, 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 many years. When you learn to take stress out of your life and completely remove it from your life, you'll know. You'll know exactly when that moment comes, because it'll feel like a ton was lifted off of your shoulders. And go. Go, because that's the green light. How stupid do you look when the light is green and you're still sitting there? When the light is green, that means go. Go. If you have a commitment, such as a job or something that you really is important to you in your life, when that alarm goes off, don't overthink, go. When it's time to act, when it's time to fucking make things happen, you go. Because if not, that opportunity can go just like that. And when it's gone forever. There's no taking it back. Kind of like a line of cars at a stoplight. You see everybody eye to eye when you're there for a fucking minute. Light turns green and they're gone. You might never see that car ever again, because that's how fast life is. That's how fast life moves nowadays. And that could just be used as a metaphor for life right now, for everybody's life. So always keep that light green. It's always time to go. Always. But of course, if you go too hard, you might overheat, and then that's where stress comes in. So it's all about balance. It's all about keeping that perfect, beautiful yin yang balance. And I feel that that's the yeah, that's happiness right there. When you're able to achieve that, that's when you're able to achieve that balance in life, it becomes nothing can bother you. Nothing can penetrate your inner happiness. Now, a lot of people talk about meditation and they talk about like fucking breathing and all that. I don't have the patience for that. I know a lot of people really use it to their advantage, but I don't think that that's what really does it. I think what's really important is that balance. Because, sure, you can meditate and you could be a vegan or you can um, live the Mother Teresa, saint like life, but then that other side of you is just always calling and calling and it's gonna be there like you're not feeding it. You're not feeding the other side. There's no balance. There's no balance there. Because everybody wants a little good with their bad, everybody wants a little bad with their good. You can't just be 100% good. You can't be 100% bad. You gotta be riding that line right in the fucking middle, you know. And what does that mean? Well, take it as you will, you know. Um, a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's it's good to it's good um to be able to feed your desires every now and then. Let's just put it that way. And don't be scared about it. Don't be ashamed about it. Just do it, but don't overdo it because that's when the scales will get tipped over. You know what I mean? But if you don't feed the desires, or if you don't do things that, you know, you really truly want to do, then I feel like you really aren't living your life to its full potential. And whether that be, if you have somebody like on your back telling you like how you should think, what you should do, what you should drink, what you should not drink, what you should not eat. It could be somebody in your life physically, or it could be somebody in your mind, like a fucking conscious, you know, what you think that you should be doing in life, and it's like trying to guide you one direction. But if you really listen within, at the end of the day, it's in your core, it's in your fucking gut, it's in your heart, it's in that fucking center, the nucleus. What is that saying? What is that message? And that's what you need to follow. And intuition is a motherfucker. It's always going to show its head eventually. And when it does, you better listen. Because if not, it might be too late. And then you fucked. Because you'll be too old. and you won't be able to do the things that you want to do anymore because you were fucking living somebody else's life. Or, even worse, you didn't listen to your fucking intuition. On that note, I'm going to bid y'all adieu. Stay safe. Love you all. Faces I've seen, faces I haven't. It's all good. We're all one people. Much love. Final thought for the night. Just because a dog doesn't speak doesn't mean it doesn't understand, but it always knows what it wants.